Fundamentals of Meditation by Lucian Green. Lucian Mantra, Sun Safety 4 of 4. 31. I prepared to test whether the water-resistant sunscreen protected me from the water. I did this by testing whether the sunscreen was water-resistant. First, I applied the sunscreen to a section of my skin. Second, I dropped a droplet of water onto this section. Third, I examined the droplet of water roll down this section of my skin. In this way, I prepared to test whether the water-resistant sunscreen protected me from the water by testing whether the sunscreen was water-resistant. 32. I prepared to walk along the glass corridor at midday. I did this by wearing the wide-brimmed hat. First, I measured the width of the hat. Second, I divided this by 2. Third, I noted that this was the width from the center of my head to the edge of the brim. In this way, I prepared to walk along the glass corridor at midday by wearing the wide-brimmed hat. 33. I prepared to avoid the sun. I did this by sitting in the vehicle. First, I sat in the vehicle. Second, I switched on the air conditioning. Third, I avoided the sun. In this way, I prepared to avoid the sun by sitting in the vehicle. 34. I prepared to design a production. I did this by avoiding the sun. First, I went for a walk before the sun reached high intensity. Second, I avoided the sun. Third, I went for a walk after the sun reached high intensity. In this way, I prepared to design a production by avoiding the sun. 35. I prepared to drink lemonade. I did this by reasoning out my action in relation to the sun. First, I calculated the angle of the sun from me. Second, I reasoned out my action. Third, I performed my action. In this way, I prepared to drink lemonade by reasoning out my action in relation to the sun. 36. I prepared to avoid spending too much time in the sun. I did this by timing my sun exposure. First, I wrote down the initial minute of my sun exposure. Second, I wrote down the final minute of my sun exposure. Third, I calculate the time of my sun exposure by subtracting the initial minute of my sun exposure from the final minute of my sun exposure. In this way, I prepared to avoid spending too much time in the sun by timing my sun exposure. 37. I prepared to ensure my dependents were exposed to zero sun. I did this by controlling how much sun they were exposed to. First, I asked them to wear long-sleeved shirts. Second, I asked them to wear sun cream. Third, I asked them to wear hats. In this way, I prepared to ensure my dependents were exposed to zero sun by controlling how much sun they were exposed to. 38. I prepared to be protected temporarily. I did this by protecting myself from the sun forever. Until a date, I frequently bought sun cream. First, I bought sun cream in the first month. Second, I bought sun cream in the second month. Third, I bought sun cream on the third month. In this way, I prepared to be protected temporarily by protecting myself from the sun forever. Until a date, I frequently bought sun cream. 39. I prepared to schedule sport before or after the sun's high-intensity time period. I did this by following the government's advice about when to go outside. First, I accessed the Bureau's latest data. Second, I accessed the initial time of the sun's high-intensity time period. Third, I accessed the final time of the sun's high-intensity time period. In this way, I prepared to schedule sport before or after the sun's high-intensity time period by following the government's advice about when to go outside. 40. I prepared to perform my task. I did this by using the insect repellent. First, I sprayed the aerosol on my hand. Second, I applied the liquid to my face, arms and neck. Third, I entered the insect space. In this way, I prepared to perform my task by using the insect repellent. 41. I prepared to drive with tinted windows. I did this by avoiding too many ultraviolet rays. First, I wore clothing that covered my arms and legs and a hat with a wide brim to protect my head, face, neck and ears. Second, I wore sunglasses that wrapped around and blocked both UVA and UVB rays. Third, I used sunscreen with sun protection factor, or SPF 15 or greater, with both UVA and UVB protection. In this way, I prepared to drive with tinted windows by avoiding too many ultraviolet rays. 42. I prepared to avoid too much visible light. I did this by determining which wraparound sunglasses to buy. First, I measured my face. Second, I determined my face shape. Third, I found a style of sunglasses. 43. I prepared to avoid sunstroke. I did this by avoiding too much heat from the sun. First, I remained hydrated, exercised in milder weather and avoided sunburn. Second, I wore cool clothing. Third, I allowed myself to gradually adjust to the heat. In this way, I prepared to avoid sunstroke by avoiding too much heat from the sun.